The sun had barely risen when he dragged himself out of bed, his bones aching from another long night of overtime. He was a simple man, a father of two, working 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. The bills were piling up, and no matter how hard he worked, it never felt like enough. His kids deserved better: new shoes, a proper school trip, maybe even a small vacation. But life had other plans. That morning, as he rummaged through an old jacket pocket for loose change, his fingers brushed against something unexpected, a crumpled lottery ticket. He frowned. He didn't even remember buying one. Maybe it was from months ago, another desperate attempt to dream. With a sigh, he almost tossed it aside, but something made him stop. What if? The thought lingered as he grabbed his phone and checked the numbers against last week's draw. His heart pounded as he matched one digit, then another. His hands trembled. It couldn't be. He double-checked, triple-checked. The numbers aligned perfectly. He had won. But before the excitement could fully sink in, a cold realization hit him. The ticket wasn't his. Flashback to 3 months ago, he had found it on the ground outside the convenience store, forgotten, discarded. At the time, he had meant to check it but got busy and forgot. Now, here it was, worth millions, and he had no right to claim it. The moral weight crushed him. He thought of his kids, his debts, the endless struggle. But he also thought of the person who had truly bought it. Someone out there had lost their chance at a life-changing moment. His hands shook as he dialed the lottery hotline, unsure of what he would say. The truth could cost him everything. But keeping it would cost him something far worse: his conscience. The lottery ticket lay on the kitchen table like a bomb waiting to explode. He stared at it, his mind racing. A million thoughts crashed into each other: his kids' tired shoes, the overdue rent, the way his wife had stopped asking for anything because she knew the answer would always be, "Not right now." But then there was the other voice, quieter but relentless: "This isn't yours." He rubbed his face, trying to shake off the exhaustion. The morning light spilled through the window, making the ticket glow almost mockingly. What if I just don't say anything? The idea slithered into his mind. No one knew. No one would ever find out. He could walk into the lottery office, claim the prize, and change his family's life forever. His youngest child wandered into the kitchen, rubbing sleep from their eyes. "Dad, can we get pancakes today?" The question was simple, innocent. But it felt like a knife twisting in his gut. He forced a smile. "Maybe next week, kiddo." The kid nodded, used to hearing that answer, and shuffled off. That broke him. He grabbed his phone again, hands sweating as he pulled up the lottery website. There was a process for lost tickets. What if the real owner had already reported it? His finger hovered over the "Contact Us" button. But then he stopped. What if they hadn't? He needed air. Stepping outside, he paced the sidewalk, the cool morning breeze doing nothing to calm the storm inside him. His neighbor, an old man who always sat on his porch with a newspaper, gave him a nod. "Rough night?" "Yeah," he muttered. "You have no idea." The old man squinted at him. "You look like you've seen a ghost." He almost laughed. More like $1 million. But he just shrugged. Just life. Back inside, he made a decision. He wouldn't claim the ticket. Not yet. First, he had to be sure. He had to find out if someone was really looking for it. The convenience store where he'd found the ticket was his first stop. The same clerk who'd been there for years gave him a bored look as he walked in. "You remember anyone losing a lottery ticket a few months back?" he asked, trying to sound casual. The clerk raised an eyebrow. "You kidding? People buy M and forget M all the time." His stomach sank. "No one ever came back looking for one?" The clerk shrugged. "Not that I recall." That should have made him feel better. It didn't. As he walked home, his phone buzzed, a text from his wife. Electric bill came. Higher than last month. He clenched his fists. The ticket in his pocket suddenly felt heavier. That night, he lay awake, staring at the ceiling. His wife slept beside him, unaware of the war raging in his mind. If no one's looking for it, does that make it mine? But deep down, he knew the answer. Sleep never came that night. Every time he closed his eyes, he saw the numbers from the ticket flashing behind his lids. Winner. 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 The word pulsed in his skull like a heartbeat. By dawn, he had a plan. He waited until his family left for the day, his wife to her part-time job, the kids to school, before digging out an old hoodie and a baseball cap. He didn't want to be recognized. Not yet. The convenience store's security camera was his first target. If he could see who bought the ticket that day, maybe he could find them. Make things right. The same bored clerk from yesterday glanced up as he entered. Back again? He kept his head down. Yeah, just, need some coffee. While the clerk turned to grab a pack of cigarettes for another customer, he quickly scanned the ceiling corners. One camera pointed at the register. Another watched the door. Good enough. He cleared his throat. Hey, any chance I could see your security footage from a few months ago? The clerk froze. You a cop? What? No. Then no. The clerk's tone left no room for argument. Boss would kill me. His shoulders slumped. Dead end. As he turned to leave, an old man at the snack aisle coughed loudly. He was a regular, thin, wrinkled, always wearing the same faded plaid shirt. The man didn't look at him but muttered under his breath, "Try the laundromat next door. Their camera faces this store's entrance." His pulse jumped. A lead. The laundromat owner, a tired-looking woman with ink-stained fingers, was less suspicious. Footage only saves for 30 days, she said. After that, it's gone. His hope evaporated. But then she added, "But old Joe at the barbershop writes down who comes and goes. Like a weird hobby. Try him." Old Joe turned out to be a grizzled man with a ledger thicker than a dictionary. "I remember everyone," he said proudly. "What day you looking for?" He gave the approximate date, 3 months back, a Thursday, around dusk. Joe licked his thumb, flipping pages. Ah. That was the day the young mother dropped her groceries in the parking lot. And the college kid who bought too many energy drinks. His finger stopped. And him. He leaned in. Who? Joe's face darkened. Guy who always buys one ticket. Same numbers every week. Walks with a limp. A chill ran down his spine. He had seen that man before, an older guy, always alone, always looking at the ground. Joe sighed. Haven't seen him lately, though. Why not? Rumor is he got sick. Real sick. The words hit like a punch. If the man was ill, or worse, maybe that's why no one had come looking for the ticket. He left the barbershop, his mind spinning. The sun was setting now, casting long shadows across the sidewalk. He pulled out his phone and Googled the local hospital. One visit. That's all he'd do. Just to see. The hospital receptionist gave him a wary look when he asked about a patient with no name. I'm sorry, sir. Privacy laws. I think he might have lost something important, he interrupted. A lottery ticket. Big winner. The receptionist's eyes widened. She hesitated, then lowered her voice. There was a man, passed away last month. John Doe, basically. No family ever claimed him. His throat went dry. Where is he now? County burial. Pauper's grave. The weight of it all crashed down. If the man had no family, no one to leave behind, did the ticket really belong to anyone now? He drove home in a daze. His wife was already there, stirring a pot of cheap noodles for dinner. She took one look at him and frowned. "You okay?" He opened his mouth, to confess, to lie, he wasn't sure, when his phone buzzed. A news alert. $10 million lottery winner still unclaimed, deadline in 7 days. His wife glanced at the screen and laughed softly. "Imagine, huh?" He forced a smile. "Yeah. Imagine." The news alert burned in his mind. 7 days. 7 days until the ticket expired. 7 days to decide whether to let a fortune vanish, or claim a dead man's luck as his own. He barely touched his noodles at dinner. His wife kept glancing at him, but she didn't press. She was used to him being tired, stressed, distant. But this? This was different. After the kids went to bed, he slipped into the bathroom and locked the door. The ticket was hidden inside an old sock in his drawer, but he didn't need to see it to feel its weight. He splashed cold water on his face and stared at his reflection. "Who are you?" The question scared him. A month ago, the answer was simple, a hard-working man, an honest man. Now? He wasn't sure. The next morning, he called in sick to both jobs. He needed answers. The county clerk's office had records of unclaimed bodies, and if luck was on his side, maybe he could find the man with the limp. The clerk, a woman with sharp glasses and sharper nails, barely looked up as he approached. "Unclaimed deceased records are sealed unless you're next of kin." His palms were sweating. What if I think he might be family?" She sighed, as if she'd heard this lie before. "Got a name?" He hesitated. No. But he had a limp. Bought lottery tickets at the convenience store on Elm. The clerk's fingers paused over her keyboard. For the first time, she looked at him, really looked. "You're talking about Charlie." His breath caught. "You knew him?" "Not really. But he came in here once, years back. Wanted to change his legal name back to his birth name. Never had the money to file the paperwork." She lowered her voice. "He was a sad case. Vietnam vet. Lived in that rundown motel off Route 9. A vet." The realization hit him like a gut punch. His own father had served. The clerk must have seen something in his face, because her tone softened. "Look, I can't give you details. But if you really want to know more, try the VFW hall." They kept an eye on him. The Veterans of Foreign Wars hall smelled like stale coffee and old memories. An elderly man in a faded army cap sat behind the front desk, polishing a medal with his sleeve. "Charlie?" The man's hands stilled. "Yeah, we knew Charlie. Quiet guy. Came in for free meals sometimes." He eyed him. "You family?" "No. But I think I have something that belonged to him." The old vet studied him for a long moment. Then he reached under the desk and pulled out a battered photo album. "Charlie didn't talk much. But he showed me this once." The photo was decades old, a young soldier grinning with his arm around a pregnant woman. On the back, in shaky handwriting, "Me and Lena. Baby due in June." His throat tightened. He had a kid? The vet shrugged. Never said. But he carried that photo everywhere. A family. Somewhere out there, Charlie might have a child. A grandchild. People who had no idea their father's lost ticket could change their lives. He left the VFW with a lead, Charlie's old motel room. If there was any clue to finding his family, it would be there. Room 17 at the Sunset Motel hadn't been cleaned since Charlie's death. The manager, a chain-smoking woman with a clipboard, let him in after he lied and said he was from Veteran Services. The room was a time capsule of a lonely life, a neatly made bed, a stack of library books, and on the nightstand, a postmarked envelope addressed to Elena Marquez, 42 Willow Lane, Brookside. The return address was Charlie's. His hands shook as he picked it up. He shouldn't open it. It wasn't his. But the envelope was unsealed, as if Charlie had changed his mind about sending it. Inside was a single sheet of paper. Lena. I know it's been 40 years. I won't ask for forgiveness. But if you ever read this, tell our daughter I'm sorry. I looked for you both when I got back. Every day, I looked. Charlie. The date on the letter was 2 days before Charlie's death. He sank onto the bed, the weight of Charlie's regret pressing down on him. This wasn't just about money anymore. This was about a dying man's last words. A family that never knew him. A daughter who might not even know he existed. Back in his car, he stared at the address. 42 Willow Lane was only an hour away. One visit. That's all it would take. But as he pulled onto the highway, his phone rang. His wife's name flashed on the screen. He hesitated. Then he answered. Where are you? Her voice was strained. Your boss called. They said you didn't show up today. The lie came too easily. Car trouble. I'm getting it looked at. A pause. Then, quieter, you're lying. His grip tightened on the wheel. She knew. Maybe not about the ticket, but she knew something was wrong. We'll talk tonight, he said weakly. But as he hung up, the GPS announced his exit. Willow Lane. He was out of time. The GPS announced his arrival at Willow Lane, but his foot hesitated on the brake. The street was lined with modest, well-kept homes, nothing like the crumbling motel where Charlie had spent his last days. What am I even going to say? He parked a few houses down, staring at number 42. A child's bicycle lay tipped over in the yard. The curtains were open, and through the window, he could see a woman in her 60s moving around the kitchen. Lena. Or Elena now. His fingers drummed against the steering wheel. This wasn't his business. He could still turn around, drive home, and decide what to do about the ticket on his own. But Charlie's letter sat on the passenger seat, the words our daughter screaming up at him. A sharp knock on his car window made him jump. A teenage boy glared at him, arms crossed. You lost or something? You've been sitting here for like 10 minutes. No, he fumbled for an excuse. I'm, here to see Elena Marquez. The boy's eyes narrowed. My grandma? Why? Grandma. So Charlie had a grandkid after all. The realization made his chest ache. Before he could answer, the front door of the house opened. The woman from the kitchen, Elena, stepped onto the porch, wiping her hands on a dish towel. Miguel? Who are you talking to? The boy jerked his thumb at the car. Some weird guy asking for you. Elena's posture stiffened. She walked slowly down the path, her eyes locked on him. Up close, he could see the resemblance to the young woman in Charlie's photo, same sharp cheekbones, same wary expression. He rolled down the window, heart pounding. Ma'am, I'm sorry to bother you. My name's, he stopped. Giving his real name felt dangerous. I knew Charlie. I think he was trying to reach you before he passed. The dish towel slipped from Elena's hands. The inside of the house smelled like cinnamon and laundry detergent. Elena sat across from him at the kitchen table, her hands wrapped tightly around a mug of coffee she hadn't touched. The teenage boy, Miguel, hovered in the doorway, clearly not trusting him. You said you knew Charlie, Elena said quietly. How? He chose his words carefully. Not well. But I found something of his. A letter. He slid the envelope across the table. Her fingers trembled as she opened it. When she finished reading, she pressed the paper to her chest and closed her eyes. For a long moment, the only sound was the ticking of the clock above the stove. "Mom?" A younger woman appeared in the doorway, early 40s, with Elena's eyes and Miguel's stubborn chin. "Charlie's daughter. What's going on?" Elena took a shaky breath. "This man knew your father." The daughter's face went pale. "My what?" The next hour passed in a blur. Elena told the story in fragments, how she'd met Charlie when they were both barely 20, how he'd shipped out to Vietnam before she realized she was pregnant, how the letters stopped coming after 72. She'd assumed he was dead. "I looked for him too," she whispered. "For years. But Charles Riley was a common name. And then I met my husband, and," she trailed off, glancing at her daughter. The daughter, Rosa, looked like she'd been slapped. "All this time, you never told me." "I didn't know how." Miguel, who'd been silent this whole time, suddenly spoke up. "Wait. If this Charlie guy was your real dad, does that mean we could have gotten, like, veteran benefits or something?" The bluntness of the question made him flinch. But it also gave him an opening. "Actually," he said slowly, "there might be something else." He hadn't planned to mention the ticket. But sitting in this kitchen, watching a family grapple with decades of lost time, keeping the secret felt worse than stealing. Charlie bought a lottery ticket before he died. A winning one. Rosa's chair screeched as she stood. "What?" "It's unclaimed. The deadline's in a few days." He forced himself to meet their eyes. I think he'd want you to have it." Elena's hand flew to her mouth. Rosa just stared at him. "How much are we talking?" He told them. The silence that followed was deafening. He left Willow Lane with a promise to send them the ticket details and a headache brewing behind his eyes. He'd done the right thing. So why did he feel like he'd just jumped off a cliff? His phone buzzed non-stop on the drive home, missed calls from his wife, texts asking where he was. He ignored them. He needed to think. But when he pulled into his driveway, she was waiting on the porch, arms crossed. "You better have a damn good explanation," she said, her voice low and dangerous. He turned off the engine and sat there for a moment, staring at the lottery ticket still tucked in his visor. Then he got out of the car and told her everything. His wife didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just sat there at the kitchen table, staring at the lottery ticket like it was a venomous snake. The silence stretched so long he could hear the fridge humming. Finally, she spoke. "You were really going to give it to them? Just like that?" He swallowed hard. "It's theirs. Charlie bought it. His family. And we're your family." Her voice cracked. "Do you have any idea what this money could do for us? The kids could go to college. We could finally breathe." He had imagined this moment 100 times, her anger, her disappointment. But the raw desperation in her eyes was worse than anything he'd pictured. "I know," he said quietly. "But how could we spend it knowing?" She cut him off with a harsh laugh. "You think rich people lose sleep over where their money comes from? Half the world's built on worse." The cynicism in her voice startled him. This wasn't just about the ticket. Something deeper was simmering under the surface. Before he could ask, she reached into her pocket and pulled out a folded piece of paper. "I got the electric bill today. Final notice. They're shutting it off Friday." She slapped it onto the table. "So tell me, Mr. Morals, do we freeze in the dark to keep your conscience clean?" The words hung between them. He opened his mouth, but his phone buzzed. A text from Rosa. "Turn on Channel 7. Now." The local news anchor's smile was too bright. "Breaking story tonight about that unclaimed $10 million lottery ticket we told you about earlier. Turns out, there's a shocking new development. The screen cut to a grainy convenience store security photo, the back of Charlie's head as he bought the ticket. Then, a smug-faced man in a suit filled the screen, holding up a nearly identical ticket. "My client purchased this ticket the same day," the man declared. "The real winner was misplaced, but we have witnesses ready to testify." His blood ran cold. It was a scam, it had to be. But the news ticker at the bottom of the screen read, "Claimant files lawsuit to block payout." Rosa called before he could process it. "You seeing this shit?" she hissed. "Some con artists trying to steal our ticket." Our ticket. The word stung. It wasn't theirs yet. It wasn't anyone's yet. His wife grabbed the remote and muted the TV. "This changes everything. If that guy gets the money." "He won't," he said automatically. But doubt crept in. What if the scammer had better lawyers? What if the lottery office got spooked and froze the funds? His phone buzzed again, this time, an unknown number. He answered warily. "Mr. Carter?" A woman's professional voice. "This is Lisa Young from Channel 7 News. We're told you might have information about the disputed lottery ticket." His throat closed. "How did you get this number?" A pause. Then, carefully, "We received a tip that you'd been investigating the late Charles Riley's possible connection to the winning numbers." Behind him, his wife made a strangled noise. He whirled around. "You called the news?" She backed up, hands raised. I thought if people knew the truth, that scammer wouldn't have a chance." The reporter was still talking in his ear. "Any comment on rumors you're in possession of the physical ticket?" He hung up. The room spun. In less than 24 hours, this had gone from a secret to a legal battle to a news story. And now his family was caught in the middle. By midnight, the chaos had escalated. A news van parked outside their house. Rosa bombarded him with texts about hiring a lawyer. His wife alternated between silent rage and frantic Googling of lottery dispute laws. Worst of all, the kids knew. His youngest sat wide-eyed at the top of the stairs during the worst of the shouting. When he spotted her, she whispered, "Daddy, are we gonna be rich?" The hopefulness in her voice shattered him. He carried her back to bed, tucking the covers tight. "I don't know, baby. But no matter what happens, we'll be okay." She nodded sleepily. "Okay. But if we do get rich, can I have a pony?" The absurdity of it almost made him laugh. Almost. Back in the kitchen, his wife was pouring whiskey into her coffee. She slid the bottle toward him. "We need to decide. Now." He studied her, the gray streaks in her hair he'd never noticed before, the calluses on her hands from working double shifts. They'd been so young when they started this life together. Now they were just tired. "Whatever happens," he said quietly, "we can't let this tear us apart." She didn't answer. Just took a long sip, staring at the news playing silently on her phone, where the scammer's lawyer was now claiming his client had irrefutable proof. Somewhere outside, a reporter's voice echoed, "Attempts to contact the Carter family have been unsuccessful." He reached for the whiskey. Tomorrow, he'd figure this out. But for tonight? Let the world burn. The banging on the front door came at 6:03 a.m. He stumbled out of bed, his mouth still thick with last night's whiskey, just as his wife yanked open the door to reveal Rosa, wild-eyed, clutching a manila envelope. "They're lying." Rosa shoved past her, her boots tracking mud across the carpet. "That scammer's proof? Total bullshit." She dumped the envelope on the kitchen table. Photographs spilled out, grainy black and white shots of Charlie in his army days, a faded marriage certificate, and most damningly, a decades-old letter from the VA denying Charlie's disability claim. His wife picked up the VA letter, frowning. "What's this got to do with?" "Look at the date." Rosa's finger jabbed the paper. Charlie was in a VA hospital the entire week that ticket was bought. There's no way he could have been at that convenience store. The implications hit him like a truck. If Charlie couldn't have bought the ticket, then the scammer's claim was impossible. And more importantly... Wait. He grabbed Rosa's wrist. If Charlie didn't buy it, then who the hell did? Rosa went very still. That's the problem. The convenience store security footage played on his phone screen for the 14th time. The timestamp clearly showed the day the winning ticket was purchased, 3 months ago, a rainy Thursday. And there, at the counter, was Charlie. Limping slightly. Buying his usual ticket. Except according to the VA records, Charlie had been bedridden that entire month. His wife paced behind him. So either the VA's wrong, or that's not Charlie in the video, he finished. Rosa pulled up another photo, a mugshot of a man who looked eerily similar to Charlie, same receding hairline, same stooped shoulders. Meet Frank Donnelly. Charlie's cousin. Did 6 years for fraud. The pieces clicked together with terrifying clarity. Frank bought the ticket pretending to be Charlie, he breathed. Which means... the ticket does belong to Frank, Rosa spat. And he's the one behind this whole scam. His wife made a choked noise. But if Frank's the real buyer, then legally. No one said it. They didn't have to. The $10 million belonged to a criminal. The knock at the door this time was polite. Ominously so. The man in the suit introduced himself as Frank's lawyer. His smile didn't reach his eyes. My client is prepared to offer you a deal. He didn't invite the man inside. What kind of deal? Walk away now, and Frank will give you $50,000 for your trouble. The lawyer's gaze flicked past him to where his wife stood. Cash. No taxes. 50 grand. More money than they'd ever held at once. Enough to pay off the electric bill, maybe even fix the car. His wife's sharp inhale told him everything. Rosa, however, lunged forward. Tell Frank he can take his blood money, Anne. He caught her arm. We'll think about it. The lawyer's smile widened. He handed over a card. 24 hours. As soon as the door closed, chaos erupted. Rosa screamed about principles. His wife yelled back about survival. The kids, now fully awake, watched from the hallway with terrified eyes. And in the middle of it all, he noticed something he should have seen weeks ago, the stack of glossy brochures on their counter. Private school open house. Disneyland vacation packages. New 2024 SUV models. His stomach dropped. You've been planning how to spend the money. His wife's silence was answer enough. They sent the kids to a neighbor's house. What followed wasn't a fight, it was something worse. A reckoning. You don't get to judge me, his wife whispered. You've been playing hero for strangers while I'm the one fielding calls from debt collectors. Rosa, to everyone's surprise, was the one who defused it. There's another option. She pulled out her phone, showing a news article about lottery disputes. If multiple parties claim a ticket, the money gets frozen. Then it's up to the courts to decide. His wife scoffed. And how long would that take? Years, Rosa admitted. But in the meantime, she looked at him. We go public. Tell the real story. Charlie's story. The media loves this kind of thing, war vet, long-lost family, corrupt cousin. And what does that get us? His wife asked flatly. Rosa grinned. Leverage. Frank's a felon. If we make enough noise, maybe he'll settle just to stay out of the spotlight. It was a gamble. A dangerous one. But as he looked around the room, at Rosa's determined face, at his wife's exhausted eyes, he realized it was the only play they had. His wife reached for his hand. If we do this, we do it together. He squeezed back. No more secrets. Rosa was already dialing. Channel 7? Yeah, we've got your headline. The studio lights were hotter than he expected. He squinted against the glare as the makeup assistant dusted one last layer of powder on his face. Across the set, Rosa fidgeted in her chair while his wife clutched his hand like a lifeline. The producer counted down, 5, 4. Then the cameras were rolling. The anchor, a polished woman with a razor-sharp smile, leaned forward. Tonight, an extraordinary story of a lost lottery ticket, a family torn apart by war, and the shocking twist that has everyone talking. Let's start from the beginning. How did you discover this ticket? And so he told it. All of it. The jacket pocket. The motel room. The letter Charlie never sent. Beside him, Rosa jumped in with military records proving Charlie's hospitalization, while his wife, to his surprise, spoke bluntly about their own struggles. We thought this money would save us, she admitted, voice cracking. But the truth? It almost broke us. The anchor's eyes gleamed. This was gold. Then came the twist. We're receiving breaking news. The anchor touched her earpiece dramatically. Another individual has come forward claiming ownership of the disputed ticket, someone none of our guests have mentioned. The screen cut to a pre-recorded segment. A frail elderly woman sat in a nursing home, holding a photo of Charlie in uniform. My brother bought that ticket for me, she whispered. He always said if he ever won, he'd pay for my medical bills. Frank stole it from my mailbox before I even saw it. Charlie's sister. Rosa made a sound like she'd been punched. His wife gasped. And he? He just stared, because suddenly it all made sense. The Lena in Charlie's letter wasn't a lover. It was his little sister. Elena. The anchor turned back to them, practically salivating. So where does this leave the $10 million? The screen split, Frank's smirking lawyer on one side, Charlie's weeping sister on the other. Rosa found her voice first. It leaves it where it should have been all along. With Charlie's family. But it wasn't that simple. The legal battle lasted 9 months. Frank fought dirty, but Charlie's sister had something he didn't, a receipt for the money order Charlie used to buy the ticket, mailed to her the same day. The courts ruled in her favor. Yet when the check cleared, she did something no one expected. She split it. Half to Rosa and Elena, she declared in a press conference that went viral. Half to the man who found the ticket. Because my brother would have wanted it fair. $5 million. Taxed. Divided. Life-changing, but not fairy tale money. His wife cried when they got the wire transfer. Not from joy, from relief. They didn't buy a mansion. They paid off the house. Put the kids through college. Set up a scholarship in Charlie's name. Rosa opened a veterans outreach center. Elena reunited with her long-lost aunt. And Frank? He got 3 years for fraud. The last he heard, the old man at the VFW sent him a postcard, Charlie would have liked you. He kept it in his wallet, next to a photo of his family, taken the day they finally went on that vacation. Not to Disneyland. Just the beach. The kids didn't get a pony. But they got something better. Their father's integrity.